Florida Gators have lost to the Colorado Buffaloes. Their season is over. Now Fridays are for feeling too, right?
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts, wherever you may listen to podcasts. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter, WNS_Brandon. Find my written work with Giants Country, NFL 33. And, man, there's just it sucks because going into the tournament or going into the season, I said, if you make the tournament, I'm happy. Like that was my expectation. Then of course last week you had Micah Handlockton get hurt, or 5 days ago you had Micah Handlockton get hurt. And then man, just this game was a mother, you know what? And also, before I get in the chat, I see a lot of you already talking. We'll get to it. But I see a lot of people talking about the last shot for Colorado where it was like kind of a push off and then it bumped. Happens, man. Refs suck in every aspect of the game. Florida, like Zion Poland, is the push-off king. He gets away with it all the time. But man, and look, I'm sorry. This is the game where Florida played so soft. Colorado, I mean, they combined for 202 points. It's just a wild thing for Florida that, I mean, their defense wasn't good to begin with. We knew that. And this was one of the big things too, where people were like, oh, like Micah Handlockton's rebound, like Eddie Lampkin Jr. Let me tell you, Eddie Lampkin Jr., Colorado's center, when he's selling insurance next year, he's going to get to use these clips to really help him. But man, it was a tough game. Florida, like they couldn't get a stop without fouling. If you listen to this morning's episode of Locked On Gators, you'll hear me say my big concern is that I don't think Alex Condon can handle Eddie Lampkin Jr. down low. Like you watch what happened in the SEC championship after Micah Handlockton got hurt, and Janai Broome just did whatever he wanted to Alex Condon. And then you look at this game, and Eddie Lampkin Jr. just did whatever he wanted to Alex Condon. And again, this is one of those games where like Colorado doesn't shoot a lot of threes, but they make a lot of them. And that's what happened here. Colorado shot 10 threes and made 6 of them. They shot 44 shots from within the 2-point arc, or within the 3-point arc. They had 33 free throws. And it was just rough. And like Walter Clayton Jr., dog. Like there's just no other way to put it. Just a dog. But Alex Condon could not handle Eddie Lampkin Jr. That wasn't surprising at all. Thomas Huck couldn't. Florida just, they didn't play well enough. It's as simple as that. And they didn't turn the ball over a ton. They won the turnover battle by a decent bit, but dominated on the boards, which again, when you lost Micah Handlockton, that was one of the biggest things was that, all right, like you lost Micah Handlockton, rebounding is going to be felt by that. And it was, it was just hard. Like I know that you're not getting this hard hitting in-depth analysis, but right now, like, even though I said like going into the year, if you make the tournament, happy, it doesn't suck any less to watch the team. first off, like, give them credit also. Like, give the Florida Gators credit. Yeah, you should have won that game. Yeah, you really had it. But there was a point there with like 5 minutes left where it felt like Florida was definitively like going to get like this game was going to get out of hand. Florida couldn't stop Colorado without fouling. And it just felt like Colorado was really about to run away with it. And Florida fought back, came back, tied it, and then had the Kawhi Leonard gonna hit the rim 17 times and then fall in, which, by the way, the bigger part of that also was that, like, when he shot that, there were about 4 seconds left. When it rattled around and finally came in, there's 1.7 left. And then you had to inbound it and chuck it. Whereas, like, if there were still 2.9 seconds left, something like that, you could have gotten a closer 3 there at the buzzer. It was just one of those games where, it sucked. And what I think will be Riley Kugel's last game as a Florida Gator, just he fell out of the rotation. And again, I disagree with it. I understand why, but I just disagree with it. I think he played well. He had a couple boneheaded decisions, but I mean, the 11 points, he had the 3 steals, including the one that allowed Florida to really cut into the lead even more late in the game. And I see the chat going with comments. I will get to you in the second half of this. The second half of this is just going to be the chat. But man, it hurts, right? Like, it's just one of those things where you should have won, you didn't. And I still firmly believe Florida should have won this game. You should have won this game, even without Micah Handlogden. But your defense being as bad as it is, couldn't overcome it. It's really tough to overcome bad defense. And it is what it is. I think you win if you have Micah Handlogden. Micah Handlogden isn't this elite shot blocker, but he changes a lot of shots. Could have did that against Colorado and Eddie Lampkin Jr. Man, it's just... it's a bitch. There's no other way to put it. I don't know how else to put it. It sucks. Like, Florida, you shot 86% from the free throw line because Walter Clayton Jr. shot a ton of them. Simon Pullen shot some. But, man, there's just no other way to put it. It really hurt. It really sucks. And, we're going to get to the chat for the second half of this, which also, like, thank you for joining me on this season-long coverage of the team. It's one of those things where, like, football, when the season ended, I was heartbroken, not because we couldn't watch Florida anymore, but because we had no more of these, like, post-game shows. And I love the post-game shows. I do. I love the postcasts that we do. A lot of fun. No more for the year, but we're going to get to the chat. I see you guys talking. We'll get to the chat in just a second, but first we're going to get a quick word from our sponsors. This bonus episode of Locked On Gators and the final Florida Gators full basketball show is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions, Manscaped. This season, make sure to groom your carpets and the drapes with the leaders and below the waist grooming. Clear out that winter bush with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and watch your confidence bloom like Walter Clayton Jr. shooting that deep 3 to tie the game at 100. Embrace the season and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Or if you have a male partner and you want to get that for him, send a message, whatever it may be. Go to manscaped.com. Use code LOCKEDON for 20% off plus free shipping. Features 2 interchangeable blades, the next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, little number 2, and the new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your pants. This week's March Madness bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. And each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest, just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys were able to take it to the next level. I'm giving it to the Oakland Golden Grizzlies because, woof. Like, I'm giving it to them for 2 reasons. One, Oakland is in Michigan, if you didn't know. They play Toledo, which is how I knew. But beating Kentucky. At least there was that, right? They surprised everybody. Like that dude, I don't even remember his name, but like taking 23 point attempts. He's taken 8 twos all year. Wild. Biggest win in Oakland history, right? They say win life, go rogue, and that's exactly what the Golden Grizzlies have done here. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure at shopnissanusa.com. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and for you to listen to the podcast. I'm still just upset. I don't know what else to say. The SEC still cannot win games. I'm going to get to the chat at the very beginning. Mudkip, what's up? Ball bounces 8 times. It goes in. Second defense, can't play defense. Yeah. Realistically, how far was Florida gonna go? Again, going into the year, I said, if you make the tournament, I'll be happy with the season. I'll call it a success. And that's not changed. What has changed was the expectations they had going into the tournament, especially when you look at Kentucky lost. Marquette played a horrible, horrible first half. If you beat Colorado, you had a shot at Marquette. So again, Marquette did not play a good first half. And if they were to do that against a high octane Florida offense, we're talking about something else, and I know Western Kentucky is also high octane. But you had a legitimate chance against Marquette. And then who knows who you would have faced with obviously the upcoming games, who would have won it. Could have gone decently far. Could have. You didn't, but you could have. And it's just one of the things that sucks. There was some bull crap I've seen you. Conan's last foul was all ball. Sure, but he had a ton that were just him getting bullied. And yeah, they did Sports 24/7 with Colin. They did play their what's off. It's no longer Saturdays are for the feels. It's Fridays are for the feels. Yeah, it's Fridays are for the feels. Poor officiating, but that's the thing, Nick. Like, it's one of those things where, yes, the refs sucked. They did. They're bad. However, Florida only fouled Colorado 3 more times than Colorado fouled Florida. Like refs were bad either way. There were 55 free throw attempts in this game. But it's just one of those things where, and I say this in football, I say it in basketball. Baseball is a little bit different because umps directly impact a lot. But I say it in football and I say it in basketball. If you play well enough, refs don't matter. If you play well enough, you could offset some things. And obviously, it's not always 100% the case. But, for Florida, I think it was. Florida had bad fouls, like in the sense of not just bad times that the refs blew the whistle, but bad plays that put you in bad position and led to you fouling. There were a lot of them. There were also moments where I thought should have been called against Florida and weren't. Also, obviously, against Colorado as well and weren't. But it's just one of those things where refs were horrible in both ways. That's why at the SEC championship, I think refs were awful on both sides. I realized that the discrepancy in fouls was larger there, but also up until Florida was fouling late, or up until Florida was fouling at some rough spots. But also, like, against Auburn, refs weren't blowing the call against Florida because Florida was playing horrible defense. In this game, Florida played horrible defense. And it just sucked. Like, Eddie Lampkin Jr. was like 2K meta centering these passes. It was wild. All the teams in the SEC choked. Yep. Yeah. So many people talking about 44. Eddie Lampkin was bullying. He was showboating. If you play better, he can't. Like, Eddie Lampkin Jr., he's not an NBA player in my opinion, but he shot 8 for 14 against you, shot 5 for 5 from the free throw line, had 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He bullied you. Now, when it comes down to, like, Alex Condon, again, I said this on this morning's show, that my biggest concern with this game was on the interior. Alex Condon wouldn't be good enough defensively to stop Eddie Lampkin Jr. And it's not that Alex Collins is bad. It's that when a powerful big faces him, they win. Look at Auburn. Again, Janai Broome bullied Alex Condon in the post the entire game. Now Eddie Lampkin Jr. bullies Alex Condon in the post the entire game. And it's, again, I want to make it clear. I'm not saying he's not good. Alex Condon is definitively good. It's just when you have that powerful big, they win the battle against him. And that just is what it is. And also, as far as like team rebounding, Colorado tried harder than Florida. You look at the Boise State game against Colorado, and Colorado wasn't as active on the boards, but also Boise State was running like bats out of hell there. Florida wasn't doing that as much. And that was a big difference maker there. On the bright side, like Florida lost, and then Yale beat Auburn right after. So Auburn's going to get the brunt of the damage there. But man, it sucked. A lot of people just sad. Yeah, Q, soft as hell. And yeah, Tony, like you're absolutely right. He's not strong enough, but he's young. That's fine. Like that's totally I just smacked my mic, so sorry if that hurt your ears. That's fine. Like yeah, he's young. He's gonna get better. He's gonna improve, and he's gonna probably figure out not just how to be stronger, but to be in better position. Like have his footwork, better positioning there. Sure, but he's not there right now, and so that's where Florida was really screwed. Thomas Huck, I believe it was him that shot 1 3 that I was like, what the hell are you doing? There were a few possessions where Florida took shots that I was like, what the hell are you doing? You had a game that you lost by 2. Those possessions matter. Like Riley Kugel's little like fading deep 2. Todd Golden loves efficiency, right? The most efficient shots in basketball are around the rim 2s and catch and shoot 3s. If you can shoot middies, if you can shoot fades, it's fine. Like Todd Golden has said multiple times, if you can shoot those at a high clip, do it. But if you can't, don't do it. And Riley Kugel can do it. It was still a bad shot. I think a deep 2 at any time is a bad shot, right? Leave that deep, 3. But hey, it is what it is. I'm a Gator fan that lives in Colorado. This sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, Hawk. That is going to be rough for you. Scene 25. Okay, yeah. All right, Q Lee, not Q, other Q Lee. All right, man. Portal Todd got to find the gems again. He does. That's going to be something that we're going to have to talk about. And we know that there's been a lot of guys talked about. Yeah, yep. Portal Todd going to have to Portal Todd. Take old Biddies said, need a lockdown wing defender next season. That's the thing, too. I genuinely feel like if you could have, I genuinely feel Riley Kugel at his ceiling can be a dominant wing defender. Great length. He's got active hands. Like you saw the steals. He's active there. If you can get him to just be a little more reined in and still let him be his little like gunslinger defender, he could be really freaking good. I do think Kugel's gone, and it sucks. I still love what Riley Kugel does. It's just he's got some inefficiencies. Why wasn't Tyrese guarding Lampkin? Neither of them could. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't think that either Tyrese Samuel or Alex Conan could handle Eddie Lampkin Jr. I think they both play way too soft defensively down low, and I think Tyrese Samuel probably just gets a little bit too ahead of himself at certain points and would have just crumbled there. SEC struggling. SEC's overrated. Bargain bin Klay Thompson got away with the push off. Yeah, sure. But again, like Zion pulling pushes off all the time and gets away with it. Got exposed. Sweet 16 is totally busted. Yep. A bum team. Okay. All right. Will Richard got hot early and we stopped feeding him for whatever reason because they do that. They just do that. Mark Henry Jr. Yeah. No, you gotta respect Florida because I was like talking to people while watching the game, and I was just like, man, when there was like 5 minutes left, I was like, I don't know if they've got the heart to come back here. They did. They did it. And yeah, it just sucked. Gold on the last team to drives, get fouled. Because they're bad defensively. Like Florida's a terrible defensive team. They just are. Also, I just want to say I'm an everyday listener to your content. Appreciate you, Chris. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, again, like I that's my worst part about the season ending is that we don't get to do these anymore. During the spring and summer, like we'll be doing baseball ones soon. But during the spring and summer, I think we're just gonna have some random live streams because I do love these live shows. They're a lot of fun, and I love having you guys in here, guys and gals. I love having you in here. Just sucks sometimes when you see a loss like this. CP went quiet for too long these last couple games. Hey, Zion Pullen at a certain point before Walter Clayton Jr. came back in the game, Zion Pullen kept Florida in this game by getting to the line consistently. It was just defense was too bad too often. Simple as that. There's no reason you should score 100 points and lose, and Florida did that. That's not on your offense. That is on your defense, and especially when you win the turnover battle, that's entirely on you, on your defense, and that is what it is. But thank you all genuinely just so much for tuning in, and this whole season, spending it. It was my most in depth that we've gone on basketball this season. I want to continue doing that, and we're probably going to get more literate basketball wise, like system wise, and getting that function going. But I appreciate you all so much. Genuinely, like game ended, I just went and I was just like, I just need a hug. Because it sucks. I get sad at the end of seasons. But thank you for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free to listen to podcasts. We will be back Monday unless there's some big news that happens. But for Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33. And as always, I will see you all next time.